All right, strap in, ladies and gentlemen. This is part 2 of my dive into Wrestling Society X. This is the actual product itself. So I did not watch this when it was on the air live. Don't know why. Maybe because I didn't know it existed. But I did very recently go through and watch episodes of it, and I took some notes. So I'm not going to go through every nook and cranny of every episode, but I watched the 10 episodes that were recorded, and I had some thoughts, got some ideas, talk about some of the storylines that actually made sense, some of the ones that didn't, how they executed certain things, whole 9 yards. A regular review. I'm gonna try to do this under 30 minutes. All right, so no promises though, no promises. So for what we need to know is every episode is about 20 minutes. So that means about 10 minutes of commercials. Every match in Wrestling Society X is essentially no disqualification and falls count anywhere, which should tell you off the jump that it's about to be a bunch of bullshit. If there is no rules, there cannot be any heels. Okay, so how do the heels cheat if there are no rules? That's the first problem. That's the ECW problem. How do you have heels if you don't have rules? You have to have order in order for people to, to break it and be dishonorable and different things like that. So that's what we're working with here. Every match is essentially no disqualification, no count out, and falls count anywhere. So it's taking place in this, what they call the bunker. It is a set that was a wrestling set that was built. It did a good job as far as putting like tape on the mats to make it look like it was worn and torn and everything. Like I said in the previous video, the crowd was a mixture of just talent that MTV found and put them on screen, and wrestling fans. They just cheered everything. They just cheered and yay everything. There was no silence whatsoever, and it was amazing. They also did, every episode had a live performance, even though the live performances were edited out. Of course, they don't have to pay those royalties. So every episode had a live performance, and whoever performed joined the team on commentary. Chris Kloss, I think, was the co-host. I forget the name of the actual the lead commentator, but he was actually pretty good. The lead commentator actually knew wrestling. He looked a lot like just like a dude you would see like in a Green Day video. Maybe not with so much makeup, but the musty hair and big oversized hoodies and stuff like that. Basically a late teens, early 20s MTV type. It was completely come as you are type of deal. It looked like wrestling in a Tony Hawk skater facility. That's kind of how it looked. Like when I was watching it, that's the first thing I thought of. It was like, this is like Tony Hawk pro wrestling. And that's essentially what it is. And then when you started watching it, it was like a lot more Tony Hawk, not so much pro wrestling. All right, so episode 1 featured 2 matches that I thought were important. The Jack Evans versus Matt Seidel match. Matt Seidel, the storyline was him. He had this girlfriend who was essentially flirting with other wrestlers, even though she was sort of supposed to be a snob. So she would be snobbish, and then if Matt lost or whatever, she kind of like would wink at her opponent or wink at his opponent or whatever. And Matt, of course, lost this match. But Jack Evans looked all of 13 years old. He was just so fucking small. And I don't know if he was just small because he's small, or if he was small because his clothes were so big. I mean, he was wearing like a 6X shirt. It was absolutely unreal. But the match was, of course, very fast paced, and you could tell from the beginning it is super edited. It is edited beyond belief. And it was the same problem I had with Lucha Underground, where people were like, Lucha Underground is so great. I was like, man, they edited everything. They edited out everything. But so that match happened, and then the Wsx Rumble took place. So this match was a bunch of bullshit. This was a Royal Rumble / ladder match where there was 2 winners instead of 1, and the 2 winners had to wrestle each other in the second week. So this was the rules, that every 45 seconds, it was 10 competitors. Every 45 seconds, a different competitor would come down. Elimination was over the top rope, and there was tables on one side of the ring. There was a steel cage rigged with explosives on another side of the ring. There was a live electrical wire on another side of the ring, and it was absolute bullshit. It was people hitting that electrical wire, and it would there'd be like an explosion, like wow! It'd be like an explosion, and the cameras would start shaking. Like, I didn't take detailed notes like who hit the electrical wire and made everything shake. None of that stuff. That doesn't matter. We're not supposed to have electrical wire with shit blowing up and shaking. Like, that's way too far. That is way too much. Of course, WWE do stuff like that, but it looks so corny. And then one of the things, and maybe I didn't mention it in the backstory, but Matt Cross, who wrestled, I'm not so sure if he wrestled in this episode or not. He wrestled in most of these episodes. Who went on to be Son of Havoc and Lucha Underground. He talked about how the explosions and stuff were legitimately dangerous, but they were made silly or campy when you had the shaky camera. And that is absolutely true. Like, well, at least the shaky camera part is true. But it all came across like that really bad Thunder Cage match with Abdullah the Butcher and in WCW. Oh, if you remember that, that was awful. So this match had to have two winners. And the two winners were Vampiro and Six Pac, who I just wrote X-Pac. And it felt like I was watching drugs. Not doing drugs, but like I was watching somebody else do drugs. That's kind of how it felt. Like you watch like crackheads jump into an electrical fence. That's kind of what it looked like. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was, quite frankly, if I had watched this, let's see, in 2007, would I have been so offended by this? I probably would have laughed and not thought too much of it, and probably watched the second episode because I'm a wrestling guy. But looking at it now, oh, it was some absolutely laughable horseshit. So episode 2, we saw the debut of Human Tornado, who I think was the guy who told Excalibur to say nigger and all that type of stuff in PWG. If I remember correctly, he was the one that had all those guys saying the word nigger in PWG because he liked that stuff in his wrestling. But he did a Michael Jackson gimmick, which included him flooding as far as wearing like Michael Jackson pants, and he had like Michael Jackson moves and stuff like that. I've never seen this guy before because I never watched PWG, so I never seen him before. But he's a pretty good goddamn athlete. He wrestled some guy named Luke Hawks, who I don't think I've ever seen before. The commentators actually did tell stories, which were pretty good. The match was about 2 or 3 minutes or whatever. They're about 3 minutes apiece. The ring announcer, which I didn't notice the ring announcer in the first episode, but in the second, he was real pronounced. I was talking, he was like super energetic. It was actually not bad for the aesthetic that they were going for, which is really high energy. Like they were going for, 6-pack of monster high energy. They were going for, you just wired at all times, high energy. And the ring announcer really fit that. Then I saw fucking Joey Ryan, and he was in what's called That 70s Team with some guy named the Dancing Machine. And we're going to talk about Dancing Machine a little bit later because there was a certain guest host who made him very memorable to me. But I didn't know Joey Ryan was here. I had no idea Joey Ryan was wrestling in Wrestling Society X. It was absolutely terrible. And of course, he was doing comedy, like rubbing baby oil all over himself and just generally being weird. And the main event was Vampiro versus Six Pac for the WSX title. And there was a casket outside the ring. There was no reason for there to be a casket outside the ring. It was just there. So it was actually not a bad match. It was actually a pretty good match. I mean, these two guys are great. Vampiro was actually pretty good. Now, I remember reading I remember when I was younger, and I was wondering, like, why Vampiro never came to the WWE. And I remember somebody asked him in a gaming magazine, like, why Vampiro never came to WWE. And he gave them some kind of snarky response. Then I think maybe later on in his career, as he got older, he started saying, like, he didn't want to be the second dark guy in the company. Basically, he didn't want to play second fiddle to Undertaker. That's why he never came. At least that's, if I remember correctly, that's what he said. That, he did that in WCW when he kind of played secondary to Sting, and he didn't really want to do that again. So he left a lot of money on the table because Vampiro was fucking good. And he wrestled Six Pac, who is one of the best. I'm telling you, man, X-Pac is really good. Like, he's definitely one of the most underrated dudes. I know he's probably because he's skinny as shit, But X-Pac is really good. Everything he did on this in this entire situation was good and professional. X-Pac was professional as fuck through this whole ordeal. Not so much for everybody else, but X-Pac was professional as fuck during all this. Okay, so let me stop being effusive about X-Pac. So the match ended when Vampiro tombstoned, pile drived X-Pac into an exploding casket that exploded, and then he pinned him. At least I believe he pinned him, and he won the title. Don't know. I don't know how that was special. It was on the floor. You know, every pinfall is on the floor and on falls count anywhere. So whatever. So episode 3 was Vampiro being a spooky boy with skulls and blood and stuff, talking about how this championship was his heart and his soul, which I thought was cool. It was okay, him being a spooky boy. But it's also a thing where Vampiro is, despite the fact that he spent all his time in AAA, Vampiro is a white man from Canada. So I can just imagine if he tried to do that same gimmick today, they would probably say it was cultural appropriation. Like he was trying to be, what is that? The goddess of death in Mexico, you know, the Day of the Dead and all that type of stuff. I could just imagine how problematic Vampiro would be today. Some guy got electrocuted by Terry Hart. I have no idea who Teddy Hart, who was wearing pajamas even then, and some things never changed. And the guy straight up got electrocuted. I mean, he got stabbed with a live electrical wire. The camera shaked. There was fire and all type of shit zip zapping all over the place. And I think this was actually what we saw at the beginning of Matt Classic. Now, Matt Classic, good God, it was Captain America in wrestling. It was Colt Cabana in a mask, and it's kind of like a Del Wilkes Patriot mask. And the gimmick was that he had been asleep for 40 years, and now he's awakened to see what wrestling has become. And I just said to myself, I just put my head in my hands, and I did legit laugh. It was absolutely the silliest shit in the world. He did not wrestle, okay, but he did like 2 skits in this whole thing. But I laughed so hard at the first thing because the origin story was so goddamn ridiculous. It was like Luthez. It was like Frank Gotch, Luthez, Mad Classic. And I was like, what in the hell? And then it's like this old school guy. And then I'm told that he'd been asleep for 40 years. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my God. It was absolutely some hilarious shit. It was definitely a rip on Captain America. It was fantastic. It was hilarious. I never want to see it again. I never want to see it again. But because I was not expecting it, it was fucking funny. Episode 4. Now this is where the commentators got really good, because the Clips is on this show. That's Pusha T and Malice. Now if you don't know nothing about the Clips, I suggest you go listen to the album Lord Willin', one of the best rap duos in the world. So if you know who Pusha T is, because he bodied Drake, him and his brother did commentating for this match, and Malice was very good. Malice was one of the best. He was the best commentator in this entire series. Him and somebody else we'll talk about later. But the opening match was Matt Seidel versus Scorpio Sky. This is a young Scorpio Sky. His gimmick is that he's living off of his high school reputation of being most likely to succeed and all that type of stuff. So he's walking around with these plaques. He's like a real douche. He's like a Carlton Banks type of guy. He's really ridiculous. And this is kind of we start seeing Matt Seidel and his girlfriend are supposed to be high school sweethearts. That's sort of their gimmick, is their high school sweethearts. But this Matt Seidel and Scorpio Sky exchange was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty enjoyable. And then things hit the skids when fucking Joey Ryan came out with the dancing machine. And Malice started getting real offended at dancing machine because his gimmick is that he actually dances. But he only does like one move, which is like the Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey hip swivel thing. And Malice kept calling him, he got tassels on his ass. Like, I can't deal with this. He kept calling them ass tassels the whole match. It was fucking great. He called them ass tassels the whole match. It was fucking great. And then he said, look at the cut of that jacket. It's driving me wild. Can you talk about his jacket? It was great. Uh, Clips was really good on here. Some dude named Eric Cannon, who I'd never seen before, he debuted in this episode. He looked like Bobby Hill if Bobby Hill shopped at Spencer Gifts. I have no idea who that guy was supposed to be. X-Pac came out. He jumped Human Tornado. Human Tornado was supposed to wrestle some mass dude whose name I didn't get, and I didn't care. I thought him 3 times. I still didn't remember what his name was. It doesn't matter. But X-Pac came out to challenge Vampiro for the title. Vampiro comes out to fight X-Pac, and then Ricky Banderas attacks Vampiro from behind. And I didn't know his name was Ricky Banderas. I kept calling him Macias. Now, Macias, if you don't know, he wrestled in TNA. He wrestled in AAA. He is like the most he's like this big roided up, like, I don't know, man. It's like he's like one of those guys out of a fighting game. He's like this huge, I think he's Puerto Rican. He's like this huge, bulky Puerto Rican, and he spits up blood and stuff. But in this storyline, they're building off of his storyline with Vampiro from Puerto Rico, where him and Vampiro had a casket match, and Vampiro put him in the casket, and the casket exploded. So now Macias, I'm just gonna call him Macias, whatever. He was wrestling as Ricky Banderas in this promotion, but Macias had this prosthetic on his face that looked like he had been burned on the side of his face, and that was basically why he came to Wrestling Society X, was to destroy Vampiro. That's a fucking good storyline. It was built on something we didn't get to see. You know, even though they did show kind of clips, but that's a good storyline. I mean, the guy you set the guy on fire, he's chasing you across the world to beat your ass. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's enough. So episode 5, this is where we learn the story of Macias and Vampiro actually blew Macias up. This is where Scorpio Sky challenged Jack Evans to prove that he was better than Matt Seidel, who he had lost to. So it was ridiculous. Then you had X-Pac versus Human Tornado, which was fucking good. Everything X-Pac did here was good. And it had a really great finish, too. So the finish was, I actually wrote the finish down. That's how good it was. It was an X Factor off the top rope. So one of Human Tornado's gimmicks, and this is stupid. It's fucking, and it's the only stupid thing about it, is that he's got balls of steel. That's his gimmick. I've got balls of steel. So you hit him in the nuts, you don't hurt him. So X-Pac was stuck on the top rope. Human Tornado jumped up there. X-Pac hit him with a low blow. It didn't work. He hit him with a low blow again. It didn't work. So then X-Pac reaches up. And he's like about to suplex him off the top rope. So X-Pac reaches up and rakes his eyes. And while he rakes his eyes, that's when he kind of recovers and does the X Factor from the top rope and pinned him. Later on, Eric Cannon's head is dipped in wet cement by some guys who we will learn later are called the Cartel. These guys beat up Eric Cannon, or AKA Bobby Hill, and dumped his head into some wet cement. And of course the announcers were like, he's gonna die! That's fatal! He's gonna die! Oh my god, he'll be alright. This pro wrestling dog, he'll be alright. I learned in episode 6 that every time Joey Ryan showed up, we were gonna see his ass. It just became a running gag that we had to see Joey Ryan's thong. Yeah, they really showed Joey Ryan's ass every match. Scorpio Sky versus Jack Evans was pretty good. We actually got to see Tyler Black, who for those of you don't know, is Seth Rollins. He was teaming with Jimmy Jacobs, and I swear to God, I thought they were doing a gay gimmick. Like, Jimmy Jacobs it was incredibly effeminate. I don't know if that was the gimmick, or like, I didn't watch a lot of Ring of Honor from this era. So I don't know if that was his gimmick, or if that's what they told him to do to be on this show, but his gimmick was supposed to be that he was emo, and he was supposed to be like this guy who was really in touch with his feminine side. And Tyler Black was supposed to be like this toxic masculine dude. So Seth Rollins would be like, let's call him Seth Rollins, whatever. Seth Rollins is going to be like this angry, we lost. And Jimmy Jacobs would be like, come on, man. It's cool that we lost. Get it out. I'm going to play the guitar or some stupid shit. And he had like red highlights in his hair. It was fucking terrible. But some Team Dragon Gate, who I completely ignored up to this point, They got kidnapped by some guy who teleported onto the scene. I'm talking static and teleported and kidnapped them and then tortured them by refusing to feed them or give them water because they had been losing too much. Even though I think they only lost like once. And he said they were losing too much. So he kidnapped them and tortured them and reprogrammed them like they were robots. But they never said that they were robots. They just said they need to be reprogrammed. Okay, so X-Pac challenged Vampiro again. He attacked, Vampiro was jumped by Ricky Banderas. And, you know, they did all that stuff. None of that shit mattered. Because it features some guy named Youth Suicide. I have no idea who that is. Didn't Google it. Don't care. Episode 7. Matt Seidel's girlfriend, Liz Valentine, gets some fan mail from a fan. And she's clearly trying to hide it from Matt Seidel. So you know that they're about to do a cheating angle. Definitely, it's supposed to be the prom king and the prom queen or whatever. So then Matt Seidel wrestles the Human Tornado and he loses. Due to Human Tornado having balls of steel. And the finish actually made sense because the finish was Lizzie Valentine tried to help Matt Seidel. And in her trying to help Matt Seidel, she dropped a note in the ring, the fan mail that she had been trying to hide from Matt Seidel. She dropped it in the ring. Matt Seidel gets distracted by this fan note, and that's how he loses. And then, you know, as he's knocked out, she pockets the thing again. And that's pretty much, and then afterwards, she says she doesn't like losers and that and then she tears up the note saying it doesn't mean anything to her. But then as Matt Seidel is going to the bathroom to take a shower, X-Pac kind of strolls up to his girlfriend, which is really weird because they're supposed to be like high school sweethearts. And by this time, X-Pac is in his 30s, I think. I'm pretty sure he was in his 30s. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been his late 20s. But in any event, he strolled up to this, I guess it's supposed to be late teen, early 20s girl, and called Matt Seidel an asshole or something to that effect. It was creepy. It was really weird. So episode 8, Pitbull did commentators and commentating. So he did them both. Fuck it, I don't care. This doesn't matter. But Ricky Banderas versus Vampiro was bloody and insane, and there was tons of camera shaking. And this is probably the best match in the history of the show. But it was still silly as fuck. It had 2 coffins. One of the coffins was wrapped in barbed wire. Another one was rigged with explosives. There was a power bomb on light tubes that were stacked on top of tables. So after Vampiro was power bombed on this stack of light tubes that was laying on top of a table, his back looked like children had been finger painting on it. It looked horrible. It looked like shit. Then Ricky Banderas choke slammed Vampiro into one of the coffins, pinned him, and won. That didn't matter. And so Ricky Banderas is the new Wrestling Society X heavyweight champion. And the last. Episode 9. X-Pac wrestled Scorpio Sky. And this was a pretty good match as well. It was a dominant performance. X-Pac really just destroyed him. But even though Scorpio Sky did look pretty good, and there was a reason for X-Pac sort of destroying Scorpio Sky, because I believe Scorpio Sky had beaten Matt Seidel or had lost to him or something about it. It was something or other. I forget which exactly right now. But in any event, Matt Seidel's girlfriend is asked about X-Pac coming up to her, trying to talk to her. She gets real upset about it and acts like it's no big deal. Then we get Jack Evans versus Human Tornado in a dance contest, which we actually never saw. It apparently was moved to something else. Well, actually, no, this is the second episode. This is the second episode. They did a dance contest the week before. So week 8, they did a dance contest, which was not aired. I think it was on Wsx Extra, which was sort of like their version of Sunday Night Heat or whatever. And Jack Evans versus Human Tornado had a really good match. This was a badass match. It's probably, actually, I know I just said Vampiro and Ricky Banderas was the best match, but I think this might have been the best match, now that I think about it. And it ended in a time limit draw, which is really strange because I would never heard of anything about it having time limits. I did not hear that at all. The match felt a little longer than the other matches, probably about 5 minutes. If you watched the previous video, you know that MTV really liked both of these guys, so it makes sense that they would give them more time. Styles P from the legendary rap group The Lox, he did the commentating for episode 9. He legitimately liked this match. He legitimately seemed to be interested in this show, and his interest in it made it feel really good. It made it feel like it made sense. It made it feel like, this was great stuff. And, the match ended with Jack Evans and a Dragon Sleeper. So nobody won. And the point of this was obviously to build to a bigger match between these two. It was teased in the 10th episode that Jack Evans versus Human Tornado was going to be for their light heavyweight title that they were going to have in the second season. But of course, they never had a second season. So it just seemed silly that they had one match that was built off of a dance contest. And that match ended in a time limit draw. So episode 10 features the Piranha Death Match and the Exploding Cage Match, both of whom were built on stories that were not that featured people I didn't care about. So the story is was that Jesus and Chaos. Jesus is the guy, if you don't know, Jesus was the partner of Carlito when Carlito was feuding with John Cena. That same Jesus is the Jesus in this match. And Jesus and his partner, they're having a storyline where Jesus is far more interested in partying and getting bitches than he is about helping his tag team partner. And because of that, they keep losing. And then in Chaos is the guy, his partner, and his partner is supposed to be like this loser who can't get any bitches unless Jesus get him some bitches. And then they having this almost lovers quarrel between the two of them. And now they're going to prove that they're tough guys, and they're going to fight the cartel. And the cartel are legit tough guys who almost killed Bobby Hill. And they challenge these guys to a Piranha Death Match, where the only way to win is to shove your opponent into the piranha tank. There's a tank with piranha in it. You have to be in the tank for 3 seconds. So you have to be like covered like a pinfall. It's covered with like a wood pallet and for like a 3 count. And the fans did the 3 count. So there that go. That happened. But they did a good job of selling the tank. Like, almost putting people in it. And then you would have like, I don't really want to be in there. And then what happens is Jesus clotheslines his partner by accident. And he ends up in the tank. Cartel is like, it's like 5 or 6 of them. They cover the tank with a wood pallet for the 3 count. They win. So the Exploding Cage Match was the main event. No, before we get to the main event, Vampiro beat the hell out of Scorpio Sky for seemingly no reason. But it was because Vampiro wanted to challenge Ricky Banderas for the title again. Scorpio Sky was doing Scorpio Sky things, which is talking about himself. And Vampiro just decided to beat his ass because he was in the way. X-Pac was trying to chat up Seidel's girlfriend. Matt Seidel stormed into the room wearing the most egregious polo shirt I had ever seen. He looked like he looked like he fit the demographic. If whatever MTV was going for, Matt Seidel had it. In any event, X-Pac beat the shit out of him, then called his girlfriend a bitch and walked off. So there that go. That's how you blow off that storyline, dog. You're just gonna have, X-Pac beat up your boyfriend right in front of you, leave him laying there, and then call you a bitch. Hey, we're edgy boys over here, man. So, Team Dragon Gate, who had lost to Teddy Hart and Matt Cross. Teddy Hart and Matt Cross was actually a pretty good team in this Wrestling Society X. They basically just did flippy shit. Whatever flippy thing that you could think could be done, Teddy Hart and Matt Cross was there to do it. They had defeated Team Dragon Gate a couple of weeks before. Then Team Dragon Gate had gotten kidnapped by Sakota, who was their new manager. He tortured them. He forced them to watch the black tape, which if you had seen Yu Yu Hakusho, you'll get it. But I try to do this under 30 minutes, but I can't just drop references and not explain it. All right, so the black tape from Yu Yu Hakusho is a tape of human sins or something to that effect. So like if you view the tape, just watch just a few minutes of the tape. It's like the spirit world tape. And if you watch it, you will hate all humans. So it was that sort of Clockwork Orange situation with Team Dragon Gate, where they were forced to watch horrible things on a small television while they were starved and hungry, and it made them vicious animals or whatever. And that's why they wanted to have this cage match against the team that defeated them. And this match was fucking the dumbest shit in the world. It was literally an exploding cage match where the only way to win was to hit the detonator at the top of the cage, leave your opponents in the ring, and then if they could not escape and it blew up, they lost. At the same time, every time they touched the cage, there was an explosion. So if you throw a guy against the cage, every single time, there was like 100 fucking explosions. I couldn't tell when the fuck match was over. It was the most egregious horse shit I ever seen. So they lost. It was crazy, man. Team Dragon Gate actually won. I don't understand how they won. I wrote it down here, but it was horse shit. Oh yeah, they won because Sakota interfered and threw a fireball in Teddy Hart's face. The fireball, they had did a fireball in the Ricky Banderas Vampiro match too, and they added all type of weird graphics to it, where it looked like boom, like it was. Everything had to be like taken to the next level with this show. So it couldn't just be an explosion, like, flash paper or whatever. It had to be like Hadouken type of fireball type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy. And after getting fireballed, Teddy Hart was still able to fight for some reason. He ended up beating up the referee. And then, he gets knocked down. And then the Japanese dudes hit the detonator while both of Matt Cross and Teddy Hart are down. And then the ring blows up and it boom, 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 boom. And they lost. And that was it. Clearly, it was inspired by Onita and Funk. That absolute garbage fest that was whatever match that they had where everything blew up. And yet both of them managed to walk out of there. Absolute horseshit. But since that Onita Funk thing happened, everybody's been trying to do exploding rings and all that shit and barbed wire and all that stuff. And it was insane. Okay, so the exploding cage match was shit. There were some good things here. Like, if you compare it to a stew, there was a lot of raw potatoes, a lot of raw carrots, but there were some well-cooked onions. There were some well-cooked peppers. There was some... there was a couple of good chunks of beef in there. If you want to talk about it like treat it like a stew, but your root vegetables were raw as fuck. I mean, the simple concept of how a guy could cheat when there are no rules. Even though they did that, there still managed to be at least 2 or 3 heels. Scorpio Sky was positioned definitely as a heel. So was Ricky Banderas, and so was X-Pac to a degree. But most people were not, were characterless. They had no character whatsoever because they weren't allowed to talk or do anything else. There was a lot of skits for characters I didn't care about, like the Trailer Park Boys. They were, I don't know, they were cousin brothers or something like that. It was real bizarre. It was real strange. There was a New Jack promo on there for some reason. I don't know why New Jack was featured. He didn't wrestle a single match on the show, but he had a promo. There was two black dudes, Baby Slim and some other guy. It was just weird. Like I didn't want to sit down and talk about every single nook and cranny of this show. I felt like that would be a little bit too tedious. I wanted to get through this shit. Okay. But let's talk about stories. So the best storylines were the Ricky Banderas Vampiro storyline. That was the best. The Scorpio Sky storyline, when he was trying to prove himself to be the most likely to succeed by beating the people who beat the people that he lost to, was okay. The Liz Valentine thing, if you're into teeny bop or soap opera, it probably would have worked on you. But the stuff with Jesus and Chaos, I didn't care enough to document. The guys getting kidnapped and tortured was funny, but they didn't do it long enough. Like, it would have been great if they tortured them for 3 or 4 weeks. I think they tortured them 2 weeks, two weeks maybe. But Jack Evans, despite the fact that he was very well liked, he had no real storyline. Same with Human Tornado. He had no real storyline. A bunch of people made one appearance or two appearances or whatever, and then they didn't do anything. I had to see Joey Ryan's ass multiple times, which was god fucking awful. It was an awful show, man. No wonder it died. Like the ratings went from 1.0 to 0.3. You know, there was a reason it died. But tell me if you liked the show, if you liked Wrestling Society X, if you did, what did you think about it? What was your pros and your cons? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, share and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.